I was already in bed when my phone rang. It was late, the house was quiet, and I saw the school's number on the screen. That alone was enough to pull me upright. On the other end was Patricia Noguera, our assistant principal. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the weight in it. She told me one of our students had signed out early that afternoon. His mother expected him home before the last class ended. He never walked through the door. At first, I thought maybe he was with a friend and forgot to text. It happens. Patricia told me they already called the closest friends. No one had seen him after lunch. They tried the usual contacts. Nothing. His phone was going straight to voicemail. His mother had already driven around the blocks near the school and the route he normally takes. Still nothing. I felt something cold in my stomach that I only feel when I know a situation can turn serious fast. This wasn't just he's skipping. I asked Patricia if the sign-out was legit. She said yes. The signature was on file. He said he wasn't feeling well. No fever, no visible symptoms, but he looked tense. He asked to go home, alone. I got dressed and called Alex to let him know I was heading out for a bit. He sat up in bed, worried, and reminded me that I am not law enforcement. I told him I understood. I did. But I also knew this boy. Quiet, polite, always apologizing for things that weren't his fault. He is not the kind of kid who disappears for hours without telling anyone. By the time I left the house, it wasn't, he's late. It was officially, he's missing. I drove straight to the school. At that hour, the building felt wrong. Most of the lights were off, the halls were quiet, and the main office was lit with that pale, tired light that always makes everything feel colder. Patricia was there with Helena Duarte, our principal. Helena had her reading glasses low on her nose and a stack of forms in front of her. She doesn't fill forms unless she's preparing for something official. They had already talked to his mother. She wasn't calm anymore. She was crying, angry, and scared in the same breath. I could hear her voice through the phone on speaker a few minutes earlier. She kept saying, "He wouldn't do this to me. Something happened." Something happened. His stepfather was in the background at one point, talking over her, saying the boy had a habit of drama. That phrase stayed with me. We pulled his attendance record. He'd been in my class that morning. He was quiet, more than usual. He didn't raise his head when I checked in on him. No eye contact. I remember thinking he looked exhausted, but I assumed it was another late night with homework and games. Now I hated that assumption. Patricia replayed the camera from the side exit. We saw him walking out alone with his backpack. No one followed him. He wasn't running. He wasn't looking around. He just walked. We listed who to call. Close friends first. Then the one student he sometimes talked to in math. Then Samuel Lima, who teaches math and has good rapport with him. Then the neighbor the mother mentioned. We kept notes. Time, response, tone. Not because we're detectives, but because if this turns into something bigger, we need records. That's how we protect the student, and also ourselves. Samuel said something important. He said the kid had been asking about how far you can get walking in one afternoon. When Samuel asked why, the answer was, just wondering. Helena was already on the line with local police. She gave basic information and confirmed that the mother would file the missing person report. By that point, the report was not optional. When a student leaves campus and doesn't make it home, it moves from school issue to safety issue. We follow protocol. Patricia turned to me and said, "You're good with him. If we find where he might be, can you go with us?" I said yes. Of course I said yes. Let me be clear about this part. I do not replace procedure. I don't make promises the school can't keep. I don't say, "I'll bring him home." That's not how this works. My job is to help him feel safe enough to talk once we reach him. Sometimes hearing a familiar voice makes the difference between a student shutting down and a student letting us help. Around midnight, we drove out. It was me, Patricia, and the boy's mother. The stepfather wanted to come, but Helena said no. She said we needed calm, not shouting. He didn't like that. I didn't like the way he spoke to Helena on speakerphone either. There was no patience in him, only blame. We checked the spots his mother thought he might go. A grocery parking lot where older kids hang out, a basketball court with the lights off, a convenience store where he sometimes bought snacks after school. No sign. His mother kept repeating, "He's a good boy," like she needed us to believe it. I already believed it. By 2 a.m, we were out of places. Patricia suggested we pause, regroup, and keep working in the morning with daylight and more staff. The boy's mother didn't want to stop. She said stopping felt like giving up. I understood that. I also understood this was going to take more than a night, so I told her something simple and specific. I told her, "Tomorrow morning, I'm at the school. I'll sit with you. We'll go through this step by step. You're not doing this alone." She nodded, finally breathing in a way that didn't sound like panic. When I got back home, Alex was waiting in the kitchen. He had that look I know well, tired, worried, ready to argue if needed. He asked me if we're really doing this again. By this, he meant putting myself in the middle of risk, extending the school day until it becomes my entire life, walking into family problems that can turn hostile fast. He wasn't accusing me. He was scared for me. I told him the truth. I said, "He's not running from school. He's running from home." Alex closed his eyes for a second and leaned on the counter. He didn't answer right away. We both knew what that usually means. The next morning, I was at the school before 7. I hadn't really slept. I changed clothes, packed a notebook, and told Alex I would keep him updated. He just said, "Please be careful." And I said I would. That's our version of an agreement. When I walked into the main office, Helena was already there, hair pulled back, coffee in her hand, expression focused. Patricia had her laptop open and was typing up a timeline. Time he left class. Time he signed out. Time his mother expected him. Time she called us. Time we started calling around. Time we contacted police. Everything. That might sound cold, but it's how you build safety. You write everything down, so no one can say later that the kid just wandered off and no one cared. His mother arrived a little after. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. She was still in the clothes from the night before. Her hands were shaking, and she kept pressing her phone screen like she could force it to ring. She asked me if I thought he was okay. I told her I didn't know yet, but we were going to keep moving. I didn't tell her, "He's fine." I don't make promises I can't keep. Hope is important, but so é a verdade. We sat down together in a small conference room. Just me, Patricia, Helena, and his mother. No stepfather. That was on purpose. Patricia started asking structured questions. When did you last see him calm? When did you last see him truly upset? When did things get worse at home? Who has access to him outside school? Where would he feel safe going if he needed distance? At first, his mother tried to defend the household. That's normal. Parents are afraid we'll call services and everything will explode. She kept saying, "It's normal family arguing. Teenagers exaggerate. You know how they are." Then she switched and got angry at him. He just walked off. "You don't do that to your mother." Then she broke. She leaned forward and covered her face with both hands and finally admitted something that actually mattered. She said very quietly that her husband, the boy's stepfather, doesn't like attitude. She said sometimes he goes too far with his mouth. She said the boy can't do anything right in his eyes. She said lately the boy wouldn't even sit at dinner because every sentence turned into an insult. Helena didn't react out loud, but I saw it in her posture. That was the first real piece. Verbal humiliation at home is not a small thing. You don't ignore that. You log it. You escalate it. Patricia wrote it down. I asked her, "When he left school yesterday and he didn't come home, what did your husband say?" She swallowed. Then she said, "He said if the boy wants to act like a victim, let him sleep on the sidewalk and learn." I felt heat in my chest when I heard that. Not anger at her. Anger for him. I kept my voice steady. I told her, "Okay, that helps me understand the situation." And it did. Here's the part where my role matters. I am not police. I am not social services. I am not a lawyer. What I can do is listen, document, translate fear into clear information, and keep the kids centered in the conversation. Because once a student disappears, adults start talking about blame, image, who's at fault, who looks bad. I don't care who looks bad. I care where he is, and whether anyone is yelling at him right now. We started mapping radius, walking distance from school, then bus lines, then places he could reach on foot in a couple of hours, then places he has mentioned before. We wrote it all. Parks, abandoned lots, the old train loading area, the convenience store behind the gas station, the small soccer field near the highway. We marked friends whose parents let kids crash on the couch without asking too many questions. Then his mother said something else, not with confidence, more like a guess. She said, "There's my brother. My son likes him. They get along. He lets him breathe, you know?" He lives kind of far, though. I don't even know if he's in town this week. Patricia asked. How far? She said, about 10 kilometers, outside the main road. It's not a house. It's more like a trailer. We all looked at each other. Helena asked for the exact location. His mother hesitated. She said, I don't want problems for my brother. He's not a bad person. I leaned forward and spoke directly to her. Calm, low, clear. This isn't about getting anyone in trouble. This is about making sure your son is safe and that he knows he's not alone. That's the only goal right now. She finally gave us an area. Not an address. An area. That was the first real lead. Helena called it in. She let the officer on the case know we had a possible relative, not the legal guardian outside city limits. She gave name, relation, last known location, and made it clear this was only a possible contact, not a confirmed sighting. We have to be precise with wording. If we say, we found him, and we haven't actually seen him, that creates delay and confusion, and delay is dangerous in these cases. After that, Patricia turned to me and said, if we go out there, and we do find him, can you talk first? That's the point where most people don't see the line, so I'll say it out loud. Talking first doesn't mean negotiating in a way that replaces his mother. It doesn't mean promising him he never has to go home again. It means this: I am a familiar adult who is not yelling. I can help him not shut down in the first 60 seconds. The first 60 seconds matter. We split roles. Helena stayed at school to handle calls and keep our attendance and safety logs clean. Patricia coordinated directly with the officer. I went with his mother. Before we left, Helena looked me straight in the eye and said, Madison, document everything. If anything escalates, you step back. I said, understood, because I did. Safety first, then conversation, then next steps, in that order. We drove out toward the edge of town. That's when day 1 turned into day 2. We drove past the last gas station, then past the last set of houses that still had numbers on the mailbox. After that, the road wasn't really a road anymore. It was packed dirt with tall grass pressed down by old tires. The boy's mother kept both hands tight on the steering wheel. I could see how hard she was working just to keep breathing evenly. She kept talking, but not in full thoughts. He's a good kid. He helps with his little sister. He doesn't talk back unless he's pushed. Parents say that when they're scared. It's not really a defense. It's an apology to the world for needing help. We spotted the trailer from a distance. It wasn't in a park. It was alone, near a line of low trees, with some scrap wood leaned against one side like someone had tried to fix something and then ran out of time or money. There was a folding chair outside. There were 2 plastic crates. There was a cooler. No movement. Patricia stayed in contact with Helena by phone, so Helena could keep the officer updated in real time. We were not walking into this by ourselves with no one knowing where we were. That's not how we work. We parked and stayed in the car for a moment. I scanned the area. No other vehicles, no shouting, no music, no open door. The quiet wasn't peaceful. It was guarded. The boy's mother whispered, "That's my brother's place." Her voice was shaking again. "Please don't start with questions when we go in. Let me talk first, okay?" I told her, "I'm not here to attack him. I'm here for your son." She nodded fast. Then she said something that changed the way I walked out of that car. She said, "Please don't bring him back to the house if he doesn't want to go." That is the kind of request that sounds simple to a parent and is not simple at all in practice. I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. There's legality in that. There's safety in that. There's also the boy. So I told her the only honest thing I could say in that moment. Let's make sure he's okay first. Then we figure the next step with the right people involved. We got out. She called her brother's name. Nothing. She called again, louder. This time the trailer door opened halfway and a man looked out. Mid-30s, unshaven, tired face, tank top. You could see right away he hadn't planned to have visitors. He tensed when he saw me, like he was already preparing for a fight that hadn't started. He said, "Why'd you bring a teacher?" That told me a lot. A guilty person says, "What's going on?" An anxious, protective person says, "Why did you bring someone from the system?" He was in the second category. The boy's mother didn't waste time. She said, "Is he here?" The man looked at her, then at me again. He didn't move aside. He didn't answer. His jaw tightened. He wasn't aggressive, but he was blocking the entrance with his body. I kept my hands visible, and my posture neutral. I wasn't there to posture back. I just said, calm and direct, "He's not in trouble. We just need to see him." The man exhaled through his nose like he'd been holding it. Then he stepped back. That was the moment I let myself breathe. The trailer was small. The air inside was warm and stale, a mix of something fried and something like old blankets. There were clothes piled in the corner. There was a portable fan on the counter. There was a thin mattress on the floor at the far end. And there he was. He was sitting on that mattress, knees pulled up to his chest, both arms wrapped around his legs. He wasn't crying. His face wasn't angry. It was blank. That worried me more than if he'd been angry. He didn't look surprised to see his mother. He looked tired of bracing. She rushed forward first and dropped to her knees in front of him. She put her hands on his face and started talking fast. "You scared me. You scared me. You cannot do that to me." Her voice cracked. "Do you hear me? You cannot disappear on me like that." He didn't pull away from her, and that mattered. He also didn't hug her back. He just let it happen. I stayed near the doorway. I didn't crowd them. I didn't start asking anything. I let them have the first contact. Then I said his name, soft, steady. "Hey, it's me." He lifted his eyes to me, slow. He knows me from class. He's not a loud kid. When he participates, it's usually with good work, not with volume. In the last few weeks, I'd noticed the way he'd flinch when someone raised their voice too fast. I noticed things like that. I write them down. Now, looking at him in that trailer, I saw the same flinch sitting in his shoulders. I lowered myself so I wasn't towering over him. I didn't touch him. I just sat on the other side of the narrow space. I told him, "You're not in trouble with me. You're not in trouble with school. Everyone just needed to know you're safe." He swallowed. Then quietly, he said, "I'm not going back there." And the way he said "there" told me exactly what "there" meant. His mother closed her eyes. This is the part people don't understand. They think not going back there is teenage drama, or disrespect, or he just doesn't like the rules. No, sometimes not going back there means my body can't take one more night of this. So I didn't argue with him. I didn't say, "You have to." I didn't say, "You can't talk like that." I said, "Tell me what there is for you." He hesitated. His eyes went to the door, then to his uncle, then to his mother, then back to me. Then he said it. He calls me names. All night. Every night. I don't even do anything. I walk in the kitchen and he starts. Says I eat his food. Says I'm useless. Says I make the house ugly. Says I make mom tired. He says I'm not even supposed to be there. I felt my jaw tighten. I forced my body to stay still. He kept going, and his voice stayed low, but now it had heat. He waits till mom goes to sleep, and then he stands in the doorway and keeps talking. He says I'm a problem. He says he's tired of raising someone else's trash. He says I should be grateful he hasn't thrown me out. His mother started crying. Not polite crying. Full body crying. She kept saying, "I didn't know. I didn't know he was doing that when I was sleeping. I didn't know." The boy stared at the floor and said, "Yeah, you did." That hurt her. You could see it land. She tried to answer, but nothing came out. And this is where my role matters again. This is where I cannot promise anything outside my authority, but I also cannot ignore what I just heard. So I told him, clear and calm, "Okay, I hear you. I believe you. And I'm writing this down." His eyes flicked up like he wasn't expecting that part. I repeated, "I believe you." That's not comfort language. That's documentation language. That's me making it absolutely clear, in front of his mother and his uncle, that what he just described is now on record as verbal abuse and targeted humiliation from a parental figure inside his home. That matters for what happens next. Then I said, "Here's what's going to happen right now. You are not being dragged anywhere by force. Nobody is yelling at you. We're going to contact the right people, and we're going to make sure you're safe before anyone decides what comes next. You have a say in this. You're not invisible in this." His shoulders dropped just a little. That was the first time in 2 days that his body didn't look like a fist. He was found. He was breathing. He was alive. But this was not over, because now came the hard part. Where does he go? The moment we confirmed he was there and physically okay, we moved from search to response. That changes everything. Search is find him, make sure he's alive, make sure he's not in immediate danger. Response is now what, and who is legally responsible for him at this minute. Patricia stayed on the line with Helena. Helena was on the line with the officer. The officer wanted to know, was he injured? Was he refusing to return? Was there any sign of substance use? Had there been threats at home? And was he currently in the presence of an adult? We answered each question exactly. No guessing, no dramatic phrasing, just facts. He's not hurt. He's alert. He says he does not feel safe going back to the stepfather's home. He is currently with his mother and his maternal uncle. Yes, we are with him. The officer told Helena he was sending someone to meet us at the location. That was both good and tense. Good, because once police are present, nobody can later claim we hid a minor. Tense, because the presence of an officer can raise the temperature in a room that's already unstable. I stayed with the boy while we waited. His mother sat on the edge of the mattress, trying not to get too close too fast. Her hands were still shaking. You could feel the guilt coming off her like heat. Then the uncle started talking. Until then, he hadn't said much beyond, "Why'd you bring a teacher?" Now he leaned on the counter, rubbed his face, and finally let it out. "He showed up yesterday," he said, backpack on his shoulder, eyes like a kicked dog. I asked what happened. He said, "I'm staying here." I said, you can't just decide that." He said, "Well, watch me." The uncle let out a tired breath. He wasn't being rude. He was done. You know what I mean? Like, done. I did. He looked at me and said, "Listen, I'm not trying to kidnap my own nephew. I'm trying to give the kid a night where nobody calls him trash." He said it like a defense. It wasn't a defense to me. It was a statement of care. The boy kept his eyes down, but I saw one thing shift in his face when his uncle said that. Relief. Quiet relief. You don't fake that. I asked the uncle, "Did you call his mother?" He nodded. "Yeah, I texted first. Told her he was here. Told her he was breathing. Told her he ate. Told her I'd bring him back in the morning after everybody cooled off." He paused. Then her husband got on the phone and started yelling at me like I stole property. So I hung up. The mother closed her eyes again at her husband. She didn't defend him this time. Here's the piece a lot of people don't like to hear. Verbal abuse is abuse. You don't need bruises to justify stepping in. You don't need a broken bone to need protection. If a kid is getting told every night that he's worthless, useless, unwanted, problem, trash, that chips at the nervous system the same way a hand can chip at a cheek. It is not just yelling, it's erosion. And this boy was eroding. When the officer arrived, he didn't come in like a movie. No lights, no shouting, no hand on the weapon. He parked, walked up, and knocked. Calm, professional. That alone helped. He asked if he could step inside, and the uncle said yes. That matters. Voluntary. Clear. The officer looked at the boy and said his name first, not the mother's. That also matters. He asked, "You okay physically?" The boy nodded. The officer said, "Anybody lay hands on you?" The boy shook his head. The officer said, "Anybody threaten to?" The boy went still. That stillness said more than a yes. The officer didn't push. He just said, "All right, here's where we're at. Your mom reported you missing. We're here to confirm you're safe. After that, we're going to figure out where you're staying tonight. You get to be heard on that. You're not cargo." That was good phrasing. I appreciated that phrasing. "You're not cargo" should be printed and stapled to some adults' foreheads. Then the situation did what situations like this always do. It tried to spin. The stepfather called. The mother's phone lit up with his name, and you could feel the room change. Her shoulders tensed. The boy's jaw locked. The uncle's face went hard. She answered on speaker without even thinking, maybe because she wanted witnesses now. The stepfather's voice came out loud, angry, aggressive right away. "Put him on the phone. Do you hear me? Put him on the phone right now. I'm done with this little game. He wants to act grown. He can talk to me like a man." The boy's face closed. The officer spoke before anyone else could. "Sir, this is Officer Silva. I'm present with your stepson, his mother, and school personnel. He is safe." There was a pause. Then the stepfather barked, "School personnel? At my business? Who the hell gave the school the right?" The officer cut in. Calm. "Sir, I need you to lower your voice." The stepfather laughed in that way. Some adults laugh when they're not used to being told no. "He's coming home now, and when he gets here, he's going to—" "No," the boy said. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear. Everyone turned toward him at once. The stepfather heard it through the phone and exploded. "Excuse me? Did you just tell me no? You think you can talk to me that way in my house?" You think I'm going to let some teacher and some cop and your loser uncle make decisions about—" The officer ended the call. He didn't warn him. He didn't ask permission. He ended the call. The trailer went quiet after that. The mother covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes filled again. The boy was breathing fast, like that little 2-letter word had cost him air. Here's what I did next, and I need to be very clear about why. I looked straight at the boy and said, "You did nothing wrong just now." Because kids in his position think standing up for themselves is disrespect. They've been trained to believe basic self-protection is a violation. I needed him to hear, right there, in front of witnesses, with documentation running, that saying no to mistreatment is not misconduct. The officer then laid out immediate options. Option 1. He goes back to his mother's home tonight, and the stepfather leaves temporarily. That requires the stepfather to agree to leave. We all knew that wasn't likely. Option 2. He does not return to that home tonight. He stays with a safe, known adult relative, the uncle, for now, while the situation is documented and Child Protective Services is looped in. That requires the mother's consent and the uncle's consent. Option 3. Emergency placement. No one in that room wanted option 3. The boy's mother started to panic again. "Please don't take my son away from me," she said. "Please, please. I can make him stop, I'll fix it, I'll talk to him." Her hands were shaking hard now. The boy stared at the floor. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the strain in his neck. I moved closer, slow and respectful, and spoke to the mother. "Listen to me. Nobody here is trying to erase you. Nobody here is saying you're a bad mother. What we're saying is, he cannot go back into a space where he's being torn down every night. Not tonight." She nodded, fast, like she understood the words but not the reality. Then she whispered, "He can stay with my brother." The uncle didn't even hesitate. "Yeah," he said. "He can stay here." The officer looked at me and then at Patricia on the phone and said, "Document that the mother is consenting to temporary placement with maternal uncle pending next steps." That was it. That was the first stable point after almost 2 days. We had eyes on him. We had his location. We had a safe adult. We had the mother's agreement. We had police awareness. We had documentation of verbal abuse by the stepfather. But I knew something else. We weren't done. Because now we had to bring him back to school. Not to force him into routine. To anchor him. Kids disappear emotionally after something like this. They drift. They feel dirty, unwanted, out of place. The problem kid. If we let that happen, school stops being a safe point and becomes another place he avoids. And when a student disconnects from school, it gets harder to protect them the next time something happens. So right there, in that cramped trailer, I said to him, "You're coming back to my class tomorrow." He looked up, confused. "Like normal?" "Like normal," I said. "You'll walk in. You'll sit where you always sit. I'll give you your work. And if anyone asks where you were, you tell them you weren't feeling well and the school knows. That's it. You don't owe anybody your life." He stared at me a long time, like he was checking if I meant it. Then he nodded once. That nod meant, "I will try." That was enough for tonight. He walked into my classroom the next morning with his backpack on one shoulder and his hood up. He looked smaller than usual. Not physically, in presenza. Kids who go through something like that don't take up space. They try to fold. I had left his usual seat open. I didn't let anyone slide into it, just for today, because that sends the wrong message. You don't replace someone before they even sit down again. When he came in, a few students looked over. Teenagers notice everything, especially when someone's been gone for more than a day without warning. I didn't give the room time to build a story. I just said, normal tone, "Good morning. Phones away. Warm up on the board. You've got 5 minutes to get started." I didn't glance at him like he was fragile. I didn't announce anything. I protected him with routine. He sat. He didn't talk. He opened his notebook. His hand was shaking a little, but he was doing the work. That's what I needed. I walked by his desk and set a printed packet down. Quiet, low, just for him. "This covers what you missed. We're not behind. You're fine." He nodded and didn't look up, but I saw his jaw loosen just a little. Later, during independent work, I leaned against the bookshelf near him and spoke in a low voice, not making it obvious to the room. "How was last night?" I asked. He said, "Better." I said, "Did you sleep?" "Yeah." "Did anybody yell at you?" He shook his head. My uncle just made eggs and then fell asleep watching some dumb car show. That answer made me want to hug his uncle. Okay, I said. That's good. That's what we want. Here's what's happening at school. We logged everything. This isn't disappearing. You're not just causing drama. You told adults the truth. Adults heard you. That matters. He didn't answer, but his shoulders dropped again. Twice in 2 days. That's progress. After first period, Helena asked him to come to the office. I walked with him, not because he needed me to speak for him, but because walking alone to the office can feel like a punishment. I didn't want him thinking this was discipline. Helena kept it calm and procedural. Patricia sat in too. They asked him basic questions, and they let him answer at his own pace. No pushing. No leading. They let him say it in his own words. The officer had already filed contact notes from the night before, and Child Protective Services had been notified. The case was now formal. That meant there would be follow-up at home. When Helena asked, "Do you feel safe going back to that house right now?" he said, "No." When she asked, "Do you feel safe staying with your uncle right now?" he said, "Yes." She wrote it down. She read it back to him word for word and asked, "Is this correct?" He said yes. She signed and dated. Patricia signed and dated. I initialed as witness. Paperwork doesn't fix pain, but paperwork protects kids who haven't been protected. After that, Helena explained the next steps. She told him, "You are still enrolled here. You will keep coming to class. If anyone at home tries to block you from attending, you tell us immediately. You do not drop out. You do not disappear." "You don't have to handle that alone," he nodded, but his eyes got glassy at that part. You could tell he hadn't expected someone to say out loud that school still wants him. Then Helena said something I loved. She said, "You are not the problem here. Do you understand that?" And she waited until he nodded again, not just out of reflex, but because he actually heard it. When we left the office, we didn't go straight back to class. We stopped in the empty stairwell for a minute so he could breathe. He rubbed his face and said, "He's gonna hate me for this." "Your stepfather?" I asked. He nodded. I told him, "Listen to me. You didn't create this. You described what's happening to you. That's not betrayal. That's survival." He swallowed hard and kept his eyes on the railing. Then he said something that told me exactly how close we'd come to losing him. He said, "When I left school that day, I wasn't planning on coming back. Not, I didn't want to go home." He said, "I wasn't planning on coming back. That's the line that keeps me in this job, even on the days Alex begs me to do something safer. Because that's where kids disappear for real. Not to a trailer, not to a couch, to nowhere. That's when they're done with school, done with adults, done with trying. That's when you stop seeing them in hallways, and then their name shows up again only when something terrible happens off campus." I looked straight at him. "You are back," I said. He nodded once. "And you're staying back," I said. He let out air and almost smiled. "Okay, miss." After lunch, word started to move through the building. It always does. Students talk. Staff talk. A version of the story hit the wrong ear. Someone saying he ran off for attention. Someone saying it was probably about drugs. Someone saying it's always the quiet ones. That kind of talk spreads fast and does damage fast. So I handled it. In my last class of the day, 2 kids started trading theories in the back row. I cut it off immediately. Not angry, just firm. "Stop right there," I said. "We are not doing rumors today. We're doing the assignment. If you're bored, I can fix bored." A couple kids laughed under their breath. The room reset. I moved on. I didn't point at him. I didn't even look his way. I protected him without turning him into a spectacle. That's part of the job too. After school, I sat with Helena and Patricia in Helena's office. We did a full recap and filled every gap while it was still fresh. Where we were, who said what, the uncle's statement, the boy's statements, the stepfather's language, the mother's consent, the officer's presence, CPS contact, placement for the next night, plan for school re-entry. This all went into a clean record. Helena looked tired in that way I only see after real cases. She took off her glasses and pressed her palm against the bridge of her nose. Then she said to me, "Madison, you know I have to say it. You need to be careful. The stepfather is angry. Angry adults show up at schools." I knew she was right. I've seen that before. A parent storms in, starts yelling in the lobby, tries to make a scene with, "You people are turning my kid against me." They go straight for the teacher who listened. I said, "If he shows up, I'll let security handle it." Helena raised an eyebrow. "Will you?" I held her stare. "Yes." She kept the eyebrow up for one more second, then dropped it. "Good," she said, "because I am not having you stand in the lobby alone with someone like that." On the drive home, I could feel the exhaustion settling in. Not the kind you fix with a nap. The kind that sits in your chest after you've been holding a kid's safety up with both hands for more than a day. When I walked through the door, my kids ran to me. Emma talked first, fast, telling me about a spelling test. Mia wanted to show me the drawing she made in art. Noah just lifted his arms and said, "Up." I picked him up and pressed my face into his hair. That's the part Alex worries about. He sees me come home like that and wonders how many of these nights I can stack. After they went to play, Alex and I stood in the kitchen. He didn't start with, "Are you okay?" He started with, "Is he safe?" I told him, "For now." He asked me what "for now" means. I told him the truth. "It means he's not sleeping in that house tonight." Alex let out a long breath and nodded. "Good," he said. Then he looked at me for a long time. "And you?" "I'm fine," I said. He gave me a look that said he didn't fully buy that. Then he said, "Madison, I know you. You're not going to stop checking on this kid." "I'm not," I said. He nodded again. "Then I'm driving you in and out for the next few days." That's his version of protection. He can't follow me into the office, but he can make sure I don't walk into the parking lot alone. By the end of day 3, the boy was still with his uncle. CPS had spoken with the mother. The stepfather was officially told to stay away from the school and not contact the boy directly without coordination. It wasn't solved. This kind of thing doesn't wrap up in a clean bow, but the boy was alive, accounted for, and not being verbally torn apart in his sleep. And he was back in my classroom. That mattered more than anything. 3 days. That's how long it took from the moment Patricia called me late at night to the moment I watched him sit in my room again like he belonged there. You learn a lot about people in 3 days. You learn which adults raise their voice first and ask questions never. You learn which adults listen, write things down, and protect the kid instead of their own ego. You learn which parents are scared and which ones are defensive. You learn who shows up at midnight when they're not technically on the clock. You learn who will open their door and say, "Stay here, breathe, eat, sleep. I've got you tonight." And you learn a lot about the kid. When we first saw him in that trailer, he was holding himself together with silence. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't throwing things. He wasn't acting out of control. He was past anger. He was already in survival mode. That's not drama. That's a body saying, "I can't live like this anymore." By day 3, he wasn't fixed. He's not suddenly confident or healed or fearless. That's not how this works. But he was sitting in his seat again. He was doing his work again. He knew we had witnesses. He knew we believed him. He knew what happened inside that house wasn't a secret anymore. That alone changes the air he's breathing. And I want to be very clear about something. I didn't save him. That's not the story. That's never the story. What happened here was a coordinated, responsible response. Patricia flagged the absence. Helena moved fast and stayed calm with documentation. The officer handled the situation without turning it into a scene. CPS stepped in. His mother admitted the problem out loud. His uncle gave him a place to feel human for one night. The school held its line and made sure he knew he was still ours. My role is what it always is. I stand next to the kid when it would be easier for him to stand alone. I make sure his voice doesn't get buried under louder adults. I keep doors open, and I don't apologize for that. People ask me why I stay in this job when it puts me in the middle of things that are heavy and messy and personal and sometimes dangerous. Alex asks me that a lot. He doesn't ask with judgment. He asks because he wants me whole and safe and home every night. The honest answer is simple. They are still kids. No matter how close they are to 18, no matter how tough they try to act, no matter how calm they pretend to be while someone is tearing them down, they are still kids. And if a kid is sitting in front of me telling me, "I can't go back there," I'm not going to answer with, "Well, that's not my problem." It is my problem. Not because I own them. Not because I love my students like my own children. It's not about turning the classroom into a replacement family. That sounds sweet in theory and falls apart in reality. It's my problem, because if school is not a safe point, what do they have left? When a student disappears and doesn't come back, people like to say, He just drifted. He didn't drift. Someone failed to hold him where it was safe long enough for him to get steady. That's why I told him, "You're coming back to my class tomorrow." That wasn't about attendance. That was about anchoring him to something that wasn't breaking him. Before he left for the day, he stood by my desk and didn't quite look at me. He just said, "Thanks for not, making it a thing." I said, "It is a thing. We're just handling it right." He almost smiled. Then he said, "Miss, am I in trouble for leaving school?" I said, "You're in a situation. That's different." He let out a breath I hadn't heard from him before. Then he picked up his backpack. He walked out with his head a little higher than when he walked in. When I drove home that night, I could finally feel how tired I was. Not the sleepy kind. The kind that sits in your shoulders when you've spent days holding a line that shouldn't have to be held by a teacher, but was. I know this isn't over. There will be follow-ups, and meetings, and calls, and maybe shouting in the lobby from someone who thinks volume is power. There will be paperwork. There will be tension at home. There will be days when he doesn't want to get out of bed, but he is not invisible anymore, and he knows it.